Friday, 4:55 p.m. 5 minutes before the weekend, 5 minutes before freedom, 5 minutes before my entire life tilted on its axis. I still remember the buzz of the fluorescent lights in the conference room, the faint hum of the HVAC, the way the skyline outside turned molten orange as the sun set. That was the exact moment my manager slid a thin folder across the table and said, without even looking me in the eye, "We're restructuring. Today is your last day." I blinked. Surely I'd misheard. 15 years. 15 years of late nights, of missed birthdays, of carrying this company on my back, and they dismissed me in a single breath. But this isn't the story of my downfall. It's the story of how 72 hours later, I walked back through those same doors not as an employee, but as the landlord. When I joined Caraway and Finch Real Estate, I was 23 and hungry. I didn't have much. A secondhand suit, a used Honda, and a work ethic sharp enough to cut steel. I was the kid who arrived before sunrise and left after midnight. When clients called at 2 a.m., I answered. When last-minute presentations needed miracles, I delivered. The CEO, Victor Caraway, loved to brag about me. This guy, he'd tell investors, slapping my back is why we're winning. I believed him. I gave the firm everything. Vacations? Canceled. My wife's birthday dinner? Missed 3 years running. My daughter's dance recitals? I watched them through shaky phone videos at my desk. I told myself it would all pay off. That loyalty mattered. That sacrifice was the price of success. Then came Friday. The call from HR sounded casual. "Can you step into the glass room for a moment?" I walked in expecting to discuss a new client. Instead, Victor sat there, arms crossed, lips tight. "We're restructuring," he said. "Your position is redundant." No thank you. No handshake. Just a bland explanation about budget efficiencies. They slid a severance agreement across the table and pushed a cardboard box toward me. I felt the world tilt. My pulse thundered in my ears. 15 years. Gone. I asked why. Victor didn't even look up. Nothing personal. Just business. Security escorted me out. Colleagues avoided my eyes as I walked past the cubicles I had built, the very deals I had landed. Outside, the January air bit like knives. I clutched the cardboard box and stared up at the 40-story tower. The tower I had helped fill with tenants. The tower whose mortgage payments I had negotiated myself. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. That night, I sat in my kitchen, lights off, watching the city glitter through the window. My wife, Emily, slid a mug of coffee in front of me. "You've always said buildings are just numbers," she said softly. "Maybe it's time to make the numbers work for you." Her words stuck, because here's what Victor never knew. Years earlier, while brokering deals for Caraway and Finch, I'd quietly bought small stakes in 3 neighboring properties. Nothing flashy, just smart, steady investments. And I knew something else. Our very office tower, the one I had just been thrown out of, a dangerous balloon payment on its loan. I'd seen the paperwork. I'd negotiated some of it myself. If the owner didn't refinance by Monday, the building would go on the private market at a discount. Saturday morning, I called an old friend, Marcus, a commercial real estate investor I'd helped years ago. I laid out the numbers. He whistled. "If you can move fast," he said, "that's a gold mine." By noon, we were in his downtown office drafting a plan. My equity in those other properties became leverage for a bridge loan. Marcus brought in 2 silent partners. By sunset, we had a term sheet. All weekend we worked, signing, faxing, wiring, barely sleeping. I could feel the anger that had burned inside me on Friday transforming into something colder, sharper, purpose. Sunday night, as the city went quiet, I sat at a long oak table, pen in hand. The seller, desperate to unload the debt, barely met my eyes. We signed the purchase agreement at 11:47 p.m. By the stroke of midnight, the building, their building, was mine. Monday morning, I walked into the lobby in a navy suit I'd saved for special occasions. The same receptionist who'd watched me leave with a cardboard box 3 days earlier nearly dropped her coffee. I rode the elevator to the executive floor and stepped into the corridor. Victor emerged from his office, confusion written across his face. "What are you doing here?" I smiled. "Checking on my property." I handed him the official notice of ownership transfer. "Starting today, Caraway and Finch is my tenant. Rent is due on the 1st. His jaw worked silently, like he'd forgotten how words functioned. Behind him, a dozen employees peeked around cubicle walls, eyes wide. By Wednesday, word had spread through the industry. Clients called to congratulate me. Former coworkers emailed, "Legendary." Victor tried to renegotiate the lease, but the new terms were mine to dictate. I didn't gloat. I didn't raise my voice. I simply collected rent checks from the company that had once tossed me out like trash. Reflection. Owning that building wasn't about vengeance. It was about dignity. It was proof that the years I'd invested in myself, my skills, my relationships, my quiet side deals, were worth more than any job title. When people ask how I did it, I tell them this: never confuse your job with your worth. Build something that's yours, even if no one notices, because one day you might need to own the building they think you can't even enter. I still walk past Victor's office sometimes. I don't feel anger anymore, just a quiet, satisfying calm. After all, they fired me on Friday, and on Monday I owned the building. If you've ever been underestimated, remember my story. Revenge isn't about shouting. It's about patience and preparation. Hit that like button if this gave you chills, and subscribe for more true stories of quiet, unstoppable revenge.